what has, the abstinence journey look like? Like how has that felt at times when you have,
So I would say, because like I said, I've been off and on in
Right.
these 4
That's
years.
why I was.
And so I'll be on for about 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, wow, this is great. This is amazing. I feel disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
And then physically, in my season of practicing abstinence, I wouldn't even get erect a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started thinking something was wrong with me. I said, oh my God, at this big age, I don't think this is healthy for me.
Right.
And so I allowed my ego to get me back engaged in that, to be like, I got to see if it still worked. And that's the facts.
Relationships matter. I need you to understand. Relationships matter.
Welcome to Relationships Matter. I'm Chanel Scott.
And I am Josh Powell.
And we have an amazing episode with an amazing guest. But before we get into it, I want you guys to go ahead and like, subscribe, and share Relationships Matter on YouTube. All right, to our guest, Mr. Laterris R. Whitfield, the host of Dear Future Wifey podcast.
Mm-hmm.
The show that just put all my business to the world.
Is that what I did?
Internet
Investigation.
And we learned a new word. We're going to talk about multiple dating because that's what you're here to talk about. But I just wanted to talk about that one word just for a second because I learned something. I think we all learned something. This situation is defined as limerence.
Right.
And you said that was the first time that you heard that word.
word.
Josh, are you familiar with limerence?
I sure am.
You are? Why you ain't tell me?
I stay out of grown folk business.
You holding out.
But I got my attire on today. Y'all see me. You know what I'm saying? I knew my dog was gonna be here with that nice wear. So I said, let me get into my grown man.
Oh, you got your grown man outfit on.
Turtleneck on. He's here.
Listen, I just want to spend a few minutes just talking about this word because this is going to be a segue into what we're going to talk about, right? So limerence, I'm just going to read the definition. The state of being infatuated or obsessed with another person, typically experienced involuntarily and characterized by a strong desire for reciprocation of one's feelings, but not primarily for a sexual relationship.
Yeah.
Is that not crazy?
It is, but that just lets you know the power of the human mind. We can become fixated on something and make it real when, in fact, this is fiction. Because that's basically saying that you can find an object of your affection, say that I love this person, I want to be with that person, and you become fixated thinking that that person is reciprocating those same emotions to you when, in fact, y'all may never even had a conversation.
So would you call that delusion?
I would say that, but I'm not a whole therapist, but I would say that's very delusional.
That sounds like a story you told me, like you crazy. Stop it, Lord Jesus. So y'all, this is my friend offline.
Yeah.
So you talked to me about a story in relation to limerence.
Yeah.
Right? And someone having this whole idea that you was like their husband, their baby daddy.
No, is. No, is.
And that you was speaking directly to her when you do those beautiful letters at the end of the show.
Yes. And your episode, she responded and told me, yeah, I mean, that's crazy how people do that to people. And I'm like, you are people. You are people, ma'am. I didn't say that to her because I just let her talk to herself. But she literally believes that we've been in a relationship. Back in when I confronted her in February, she had believed we've been in a relationship for 7 months. And she said that I'm keeping it a secret because I'm just trying to protect my brand. I said, in person, I told her, so I'm keeping it a secret from myself, that we're in a relationship and I'm keeping it a secret from myself.
With someone that you've never even spent a second
Never
of
even
time.
talked to her on the phone, never even responded to DMs. She just created this whole, and I mean, to this very day, I mean, she DMs me probably about 10 times a day.
Did she still do it after you wrote the closure letter and said,
Absolutely.
This would be the last communication?
Absolutely. I wrote a letter and said, listen, this is the last time I'm communicating with you. Stop doing this. This is very scary. Leave me alone, basically. And I said it real nice and professional. And she was like, you know what? You're right. I need to leave you alone.
But then she emailed you again or DM'd you again.
2 weeks, not even 2 weeks later, probably a couple of days later. Hey, listen, I thank you for. She thinks that when I share stories that I'm sending subliminal messages to her. If there's music in those stories and this is other people's stories that I may share that they tag their future wifey. She says the song is speaking to her, that I'm sending her messages through the song. Oh, this is pretty sad, to be honest with you.
So I got to ask you, with this popular show, right? I'm sure you're getting a lot of attention from women. Like you popping right now.
Yeah.
You popping. Mm-hmm. So talk about this whole idea of dating. You and I will always agree to disagree on this whole idea of multiple dating. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that.
So what do you have a problem with that? Why is that a problem for you? When you hear multiple dating, what do you hear? Do you hear multiple intimate relationships sexually? Or what do you hear?
I don't even take it that far. What I hear is you're not chosen.
Why?
Because that means how could I be chosen if you're dating multiple people?
Who's to say that you won't be chosen by the end of dating multiple people?
But who's to say that I will be chosen?
And then that means that you wasn't chosen by the person that wasn't yours to begin with.
Okay.
See, the thing about it is we struggle in the space of, I call it perceived rejection, because you're not rejected. I can never be rejected by somebody that's not mine anyway. So what happens is you have an ideology like, well, what if you don't choose me? Well, if the wrong person doesn't choose you, isn't that the right decision?
But then it's the idea of, so I have a different idea of dating, first of all, because I'm probably not going to go out on a date unless I like you, right? Some people just go out on dates and they go through this whole exploratory phase and they may not even like you, but you get a free meal.
Right.
But I do it a tad bit different. So the whole idea of someone that I like is out on a date with someone else, that just tear my nerves up.
Why?
Because I know he's not mine, but I want to share. Like, I don't want someone else to experience what I'm experiencing.
But at what stage do you start feeling like that if it's just a date? You're talking about the first date. Y'all been talking on the phone for a couple of times,
See,
and then y'all.
This is the thing. And I don't date. So, but in the experiences that I have had, it always start off as I'm single.
Yeah.
I'm not in a relationship. No, I ain't dating. I got friends.
Yes.
That is real light.
Yes.
But then as you get, as the friendship or, whatever you want to call it, the situationship evolves, then you find out that there are other people. And there are other people that think they're in a relationship with that person. Like, even if you say I'm not in a relationship, it's somebody out there that thinks that is more than what it really is.
Well, and I would say that means that somehow that person hadn't been truly honest with those people. But I'm talking about instances where all hearts and minds are clear. That's what I always say. All hearts and minds are clear. We're not in a relationship. Make sure that you honor your boundaries, whatever those boundaries are. Everybody has different boundaries. Some people say, hey, listen, I'm not even gonna let you know where I live, because if you know where I live, that means we're in a different stage of our relationship. So you can't even come pick me up at my house. I'm not going to your house, whatever that is. Some people say, I'm not even gonna kiss somebody I'm not in a relationship with. Somebody may say, I won't sleep with somebody I'm not in a relationship. Whatever that boundary is, then honor those boundaries so that when you don't get the expected results of that interaction, you're not heartbroken. You don't feel like he did you wrong. It's like going to a job interview and then you mad because they didn't hire you. And you're like, why are you so angry? They were interviewing 10 applicants. Now you mad at the company because they didn't hire you? And you got to look at it like, hey, listen, I went, I put my application in, I put my resume in, I sat down, I had an interview, and that's how I look at dating. I look at dating as data collection. You can like a whole lot of people, but we're talking about marriage.
So how long does this whole process supposed to last?
There's no answer to it. It's based on those two individuals having an agreement on their intended result. Some people may, that's why I said, whatever your core values are, you may say after 6 months of dating somebody, if they don't see me as their spouse, I'm ending it.
Wait a minute, you saying I'm going to be subjected to the idea that you're dating multiple people for 6 months?
Whatever you want to do, you could. Why it has to be them? You could be dating the same thing.
No.
Date. See,
See, so
you the
how
one
can
that took
you
yourself
even
off the market.
focus in on one person if you're dating multiple people? Isn't that, I like to
There's
date
a
with
stage for that
intentionality.
though. But there's a stage for that.
What's that stage called?
The stage I'm talking about, you're dating multiple people. You're a free agent. You ain't signed to no team.
Okay.
You understand that, can't you? You ain't signed to no team. So at the end of the day, you're a free agent. You're doing what you're doing, and then somebody says, "Hey, listen, I love exactly what you offer. I love exactly what you represent. I believe that you could be great in my life." And then they say, "All right, now let's be exclusive with you." And so at that point, then y'all had that conversation. All right, I'm no longer dating nobody else. I'm focusing on you. But it seems like you want to just go all the way into exclusivity at hello.
I just want to know that his intentions are on me and not multiple people.
His intention should be on a legit relationship, not you. The intention is I'm looking for an employee for my business. From a business standpoint, now I'm finna see who's the best one for this job. Oh, you're the best one for the job. So that's why I say make sure his intentions are clear. If he's sitting up there saying, hey, he could be focused on you and never want nothing in the future with you. How does that feel? If he says, listen, I'm focused on you, you're the only one I want to deal with, but I never want to get married. Does that feel good? See, look at your face, just change that
I
quick.
would never agree to that.
But that's what I'm saying. But you're saying focused on you.
Yeah.
That's why I said the intentions behind why he is dating to begin with is the most important thing. Because if he's saying, listen, I want to be married, I'm dating for marriage, then that means that when he's having these interactions, you you look at it like is minimum because he's dating, say he's dating 3 or 4 people. And you go, well, that don't mean nothing because he's dating 4 people. I can't be the one. And it's like saying, no, he's dating for marriage. He's vetting for people, and that's how intentional he is about it.
So what
and
about-
they fall off by the wayside. You know, some people can last 24 hours. Some people may last 2 weeks.
Right. Okay. What about those awkward moments where I might be out with my homegirls and you out on a date with your other prospect? How does that, and you run into me?
Hello, how you doing, Chanel?
What?
Hey, meet Tina. Tina is Chanel. Oh, hey. When I tell you I deal healthy, my interaction is healthy, Tina may already know who Chanel is because I done told her, oh, y'all went out with Chanel yesterday. That's what I mean by healthy. See, I've been in situations where women I've dated end up meeting their person. So I'm not no hater. I'm not the type to, listen, I say, listen, we're gonna have healthy interaction with each other. I don't know if you're my wife. I don't know if I'm your husband. I don't even want to get in the way of your husband. So if you just so happen to meet your husband on the way, while we're interacting with each other, by all means, I have nothing but respect for you.
So how much time are we spending?
Whatever you want.
But see,
Whatever, that's why I say it's back on your boundaries. Because you may say, I'm not gonna make you a priority. I'm not gonna answer the phone. I'm not about to get off the phone with so-and-so when you call because we're not exclusive like that.
That's where I call that's a game.
How's it game? That's honesty.
Because the thing is that, like, for someone like myself, if I'm taking out the time to invest in getting to know you, then I've already decided within myself that I like you.
Like?
Right?
Like is good.
And so I don't want to ignore your call or say, well, I'm not going to be accessible to you or play the game. Oh, no, I can't see you today because of whatever the reason, when I know within myself that that's not true.
Well, I'm talking about if you were dating multiple people, that's what comes along with it. But you're the type that you won't date multiple people. And that's how you can end up getting hurt so many times because he is still dating multiple people.
Right.
And you're exclusive with him in your mind and your habits and your time. And then he goes off and marries somebody and you go, he did me wrong. Like, how'd he do you wrong? He's a free agent. That's what I mean by to thine own self be true. Whatever your boundaries are, I'm saying respect your boundaries. And maybe if, with the ideology that you have, maybe when God brings that person in your life, they don't have no roster. They don't have nobody they dealing with.
I ain't never met a man like that to this day.
Exactly. That's why I'm trying to give you the game, but you don't want to listen.
They lie though. They lie. They make light of it though.
And that's why I'm trying to tell you how to date healthy. You understand what it is, so why fool yourself into this same ideology that hasn't been working for you?
Okay, so what about the women? Because you can't, now there's always someone who thinks, like I said, think that is more than what it is.
Got nothing to do with
how do you deal with that interaction? Because, you know, the moment they find out that there's someone else, then, you know, people act out, they do weird things, they're inappropriate.
And that's why that conversation with said gentleman, hey, listen, is there anybody out there that think y'all together? He can lie, but at least you ask the questions. And you say, listen, I don't want to put myself in harm's way. You know, I don't want to be dealing with something that's toxic. I don't need nobody breaking the windows out my car like Jasmine Sullivan. I need somebody, I need to be healthy.
Then I got to ask you this one question before we go to break, and then Josh, you could just take over. I love relationship talk, right? But there has to be a certain level of integrity to what it is that I'm doing,
Right.
to what I'm putting out to the world.
Right.
So I can't have this wild, like, personal life. I'm acting out, being crazy, and then I get on this show and try to talk healthy. So that's another thing that I run up against. I just can't allow myself to be involved in certain scenarios where you can jeopardize what I've worked years for.
And then articulate
How
that.
do you manage? And I have in a situation that comes to mind. We talked about this. I articulated it on the show and off the show, and the person still tried to put me in this, and he ain't listened to nothing that I said. You understand what I'm saying? And then,
Yeah.
you know, social media tell it all.
Yep.
So then I had to cut it
Yes.
immediately.
Yes. And so you did what you're supposed to do. You can't micromanage somebody else's actions. People can do a whole lot of toxic things, but as a woman, you say, listen, I don't know what you think this is. I don't get down like this. And you end it.
Okay.
You know, let your yays be yays and your no's be no's and end it. But people will try to sign you up for something that goes against your core values.
Yes.
And when you find that out, then bless them with goodbye and go on about your business.
When we come back, more with LaTerrace.
Relationships matter.
Welcome back to Relationships Matter. So before we went to break, we were talking about this whole idea of multiple dating. But now I got to put my partner in the hot seat. So, like I was saying when we were on the break, Josh has a different type of personality, so he's going to befriend everybody.
Okay.
He's going, and a lot of times he's just being extremely friendly, very nice guy, likable, but that's it as far as he's concerned. But on the other side, they're like, oh my God, he liked me. Like, oh my God, Josh liked me. And he could play it to his advantage. Now, he could, or it could be one or the other. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then he end up getting these strays that think he liked me because he was friendly to me and he spoke to me. What say so you, Josh?
I'm just listening to the narrative.
Yeah, that is the narrative.
I'm collecting.
So it be like,
Okay.
you know,
I'm catching what you're trying to throw.
no, you know, because he's extremely friendly, but I'm not gonna like.
So you're saying he's innocent.
He's innocent, but then I feel like no, but then it could go both ways. Cause he may very well like you, but you don't never know the difference, is what I'm saying. Like he doesn't differentiate in his approach. He could, well maybe he do, because I ain't never been on that side of the
you have to
ring.
ask him.
Yeah.
I bet you he
I do differentiate.
You do?
But
What you
from,
do?
No, but I mean from a spiritual standpoint, respect is everything for me. And I like to lead. Like I'm not that type of person, because you know, you walk in the rooms and you know this, she know this. Like you walk in the rooms, people get uncomfortable. You know, especially like when it comes to men, like they trying to figure it out, or women, whatever. I just try to set the tone and just peace queen, peace king, you good, love and light. That's me all day, every day. So that's when she's saying like,
that you friendly.
you can't differentiate, but when I do date, you know what I'm saying, I am intentional and then I speak my piece. And that's where the problem comes in, because there are some times when people aren't accepting the truth, your truth.
Because then you have this ideology that if I tell the truth, then
So you know what it is.
no, then you can move however you decide you gonna move, with or without her buy-in.
It is a buy-in if she stays complacent to it.
You dig?
See, the reality.
That's why I ain't had to say nothing.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and kick it back over. You got it.
It's like
My hot seat was 2 seconds. Go ahead. He got it. I'm tapping back in, bro. Wrestler style. There we go.
I'm being tagged. I mean, the reality is, if you tell somebody, we're adults. If you tell a woman, this is me, this is how I move, and if she stays a part of that, she is what do they call it? Compliant? What's the word I'm looking for? It's basically saying that you are agreeable to whatever that is. You can't come back around and 6 months later saying you did me wrong. He's like, hold on. So honesty is doing you wrong? If a person, and I'm telling you, I believe in brutal honesty. With a guy lying about being married,
Yeah.
he acting like he's single, versus a guy that says, hey, straight up, listen, I'm married. It is what it is. I want this with you. You know, it ain't gonna be nothing serious. This is what it is. Women say, I respect that more than a man that's lying, because they say, now you're letting me make an informed decision. So when women are saying that, then how can they then turn around and be the victim? Because at the end of the day, he told you what it was. You had a right to say, nah, I don't deal with married men, or I don't deal with guys that date like that. Or I don't deal.
In those scenarios, in the dating situation, most times there's intimacy involved. It's not, right? And so that's where it's murky waters when they say, you know, you did me wrong. Because for women, if we make a decision to lie with you, that shifts everything. I think
But
we all
whose
know.
fault is that though?
It's not an issue of fault. It's just what is.
But if you,
But sometimes, though, let me jump in real
okay.
quick, because sometimes a woman will use that as a gain as well.
exactly.
So women play the game too. You feel me? And then that's also problematic. Like, it was cool until it wasn't cool.
That
You
part.
know what I'm saying? So then there was no genuine. You weren't being genuine in giving me the cookie, really.
What?
Some women are like that. They will play that game.
You weren't being genuine.
You listen, man. When
Because
it
you had
comes with
ulterior motives.
because when it comes with intent,
Yeah.
and that don't mean she don't want to do it, but it came with intentions.
Of
And
expectation.
she knew what she was doing when
My
she laid
thing,
down
there
with
has to be a level of accountability on both parts.
But the man is telling you what it is. I'm saying, when did he go wrong if he says, listen, all I want to do is sleep with you and that's it?
well, well, first of all, ain't no man just saying that.
you. Oh, wait.
I'm saying like,
Where my camera at? Boy, y'all better stop playing with me, Tom. You better cut it out, man.
That's what I'm
so
saying.
you,
Yes.
what?
Yes. Because that's what I mean by honesty. Be honest about
I
what
just
it
want to
is.
sleep with you and that's all it is?
Some folks be like that. Some relationships might start off like that and then evolve into something else too.
Well, the fact that she agreed to stay in it, that's her own fault.
All y'all ask for is honesty, so you can make an informed decision. That's it. Whatever it is, whatever it's not, you have to allow people. If you can get honesty out of somebody, that's half the battle. So if you can get that at the very beginning, then you handle yourself accordingly. You don't have to sign up for that.
Let me ask you something real quick to kind of pivot. For you in the dating world right now, what does healthy look like for you that is something that'll get your attention from a woman?
A place of safety where I can tell the truth about everything that I've been through, everything that I desire, letting you know how I view relationships, and it falls in a safe space where the woman is like, even if she doesn't agree with it, that she can respond in a place where she articulates her feelings in a healthy way, where it's not lashing out, where it's not all emotions. Like, you know what? That's a different vantage point. You know, how about this? And then she can introduce her school of thought, and it's just a healthy exchange of communication. Not like, you wrong. How can you think like that? I don't. That type stuff. It becomes unhealthy. I could never be with a woman that I feel like I'm fighting. You know what I'm saying? It has to be a situation where we're able to converse, have healthy communication with each other, even having differing opinions, and even that is healthy.
What are some things that you've noticed within dating? I know the obvious red flags, right? But what are some things that you felt like you've picked up on now where you're at that may not be red flags that you've noticed before?
The lack of accountability from some women that I've dated in the past. You know, if you're not accountable to your own self, like, I'm a person, I lead with my flaws. If I do something wrong, I'm gonna say, hey, I did this. I'm gonna always share whatever deficiencies that I have. And there's no way I could build something with someone that doesn't possess that won't share, or when they do something wrong, you point it out and then they excuse it. And so for me, healthy, I always say this. I say, honesty is telling the truth when asked a question. Transparency is telling me what I don't even know to ask. I desire transparency in a relationship. I desire, because I don't want to have to feel like I have to ask the right question to get the right response.
Some people can't handle the truth though.
I know it, but that ain't me. That ain't my testimony. So with me, I can handle all truths, all. I mean, people told me some stuff that they haven't shared with a soul, not even their best friends. I can handle that. So, and don't dare treat me in a relationship as if I can't handle it without giving me the opportunity to see if I can. You know, well, the last guy said this too and he couldn't handle it. And then you just automatically make an executive decision not to even tell that to me. Because that may be the determining factor that makes me want to marry you. Because I say, wow, somebody that can be vulnerable, somebody can share their secrets with me, someone that can show up flaws and all. That's what I'm looking for. But then you've already made an executive decision and say, well, no, I'm never going to share this with nobody. And then I'm feeling like I really don't fully know you. And I'm asking you questions and you're gaslighting me with responses instead of just saying, all right, Latarius, this is what it is. You know, that's what I desire. So that's the way to my heart. And so to answer your question, Josh, is that what I desire is healthy communication. I got to have healthy communication where I'm dealing with an emotionally intelligent woman that I can share my thoughts, my ideas. She doesn't have to agree with it, but she can articulate it and be able to respond with her ideas in a healthy manner.
I got one more and then I'll pass it back to Chanel. I mean, I got a ton more, but no, this is good because I want people to, you know, see that side too. But what do you feel? Because, you know, I've only got to know you outside of the podcast for the last 30 minutes or so, right? And I feel that there's a lot of healthy on the other side, you know, sitting where you're at, that, you know, you've evolved and you've acknowledged. What do you feel at this point in your life are still some things that you need to work on in relationship?
What's going to be tested is the longevity of it, meaning that once I commit, of course, my old trauma and idiosyncrasies are going to resurface. There's no way that you can be fully healed not being in a relationship with somebody. You can have all the textbook knowledge, all the, I know the right thing to do, but then it's yet to be seen that when I'm triggered in those moments, how do I respond? Do I respond with the healthy version that God has called me to be, or do I go back to the broken boy response? And so that's what I'm looking forward to. And I wouldn't know those answers until I'm fully engaged in a relationship, in a committed relationship with somebody where those emotions are being triggered, those moments where she may not be showing up in the way that I want her to show up in my life. Do I take that internally and then go self-medicate with somebody externally? Or do I go, okay, God, all right, I see what this is. Satan, you ain't gonna have me. Last time I stepped outside of my marriage and cheated on my wife. Now when I'm doing this, I'm stepping into you, God, and I'm allowing you to heal me from the inside out. So it's a different heart posture that I have, but being fully aware of that, to know that this is the little boy. The Bible says when I was a child, I spoke as a child. You know, now I'm a grown man. I can't keep using those excuses of the broken boy. My daddy wasn't there, and this is what I can't keep doing. I'm 46 years old. This is what I experienced. This is how I mismanaged the heart of a black woman when I took vows at the age of 28. Now I'm 46, 47, 48. Whenever I take those vows again, that can no longer be my excuse. Now I have to show up as a man and lay on my face before the Lord and say, Lord, I'm not going to respond like that. I'll need you to build me up and then not place my value. Back then, my value was based on, you know, because I talk about me cheating on my wife in the past. It's like, I want this, you don't give me this, so now I throw a temper tantrum and respond like that. I'm a grown man now.
What's the trauma?
The trauma was, from a sexual standpoint, you know, at 28 years old, you know, my hormones are popping. You marry somebody whose hormones ain't the same, and I internalize her lack of sexual intimacy as rejection. Now I don't see it as that, because now I've been working on being a disciplined man by practicing abstinence within myself. So now I have the fortitude to even overcome whatever that is. It may not even be anything, a lack of intimacy, but she may be going through whatever she's going through from a physical standpoint where she just doesn't feel like it. And not for me to internalize it and look at it as rejection, but to be able to be like, baby, you good. We
Where,
can cover.
where does the root come from, though? The rejection part.
The root comes from the rejection of the just feeling as though when you feel, I'll say as a young man, one of the things that, and I try not to bring other people into the situation, but
Right.
you probe me, so I'm gonna talk. My dad, it was never evidence that my dad had been cheating on my mom, but as a man, I know. You know what I'm saying? We just know. All my siblings, we just know. He disappearing out the house, coming home late, coming home when he feel like, coming home the next morning saying he's doing karaoke, doing this, whatever he's doing. And I'm like, I just believe my dad got a whole nother family out there. I just believe he got a whole lot of extracurricular activities out there. And so what happened is that I kept telling myself, I'll never, ever be like my dad. The first thing that we do is we say what we're not going to be like, but then we don't set healthy boundaries not to become that. And so the very thing that I was running from, I ran into because I didn't have a conversation with my dad. I'm internalizing these moments, but I never had a conversation to say, Dad, have you cheated on my mama? Like at 18, at 17, 16, whenever that feeling dropped in my spirit, let me ask you something, man to man. Now I ask those questions. We have those real conversations where I'll be like, hey, listen. And then, of course, he don't never admit it, but it's like, I know who I'm talking to. Because as parents, well, I'll even say this. When you're talking to your parents, you're literally talking to a version of yourself. Like we share the same DNA. So you can't really lie to your kids unless that kid don't realize that you lying to them. Y'all share the same DNA. So I'm having conversations with my dad and I realized that, no, you can't operate. You refuse to operate in the level of transparency I need you to operate in. But I get it. I see it. I see what it is. But now what I'm saying, when you asked the question about where to went back to, was the fact that I've never seen a faithful man. I've never seen that from friends. I've never seen that in people I associated with. We're taught at a very young age, sow your royal oats. Go just smash everybody. No one ever told me to be disciplined with my body. No one even told me my body was valuable. No one. It was women. You save yourself. Don't you be one of them girls that's running around giving your bodies to everybody. They're taught that at a very young age. Even in the church, girls are taking pinky promises and abstinent. They never had abstinent classes for males. Yeah. So think about the juxtaposition between those two thoughts. You have girls taught to save themselves, boys taught to go have sex with as many girls as possible. And don't you see that that's at war automatically? Because now these girls are saying, no, 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 no. And the boys are like, yes, 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 yes. Now we're conquering. And that's what created this whole conundrum with little girls in church having babies at 16 years old. They're sleeping with somebody. And so I had to reverse engineer my own school of thought. Yeah. And in 2020, I did that, December 2020, where I said, does my body have value? Because I didn't believe it did. And I had to have a conversation with God. And I did a whole episode of my podcast in December, A Vow of Abstinence, where I had to reclaim the value that I didn't even know I was supposed to have as a man. Because we're not talking, our friends don't sit there and encourage you to, man, don't sleep with her. They be like, have you hit it yet? You know what I'm saying? It's never like, man, I want you to honor that woman. I want you to make sure that, before you ever engage with this woman on an intimate level, make sure that you have clear, defined roles in what you want this woman to be. If this woman ain't your wife, don't sleep with her. That sounds foreign to say that because we don't hear that. We're taught, man, have sex with as many women as you want to. And so I had to reverse engineer in my own thought process of where my value lied. And when I was honest with myself in 2020, I didn't find value in my body.
No, that's amazing. And to go on that point before we go to break, men, please ask yourself that very important question. Does your body hold value? Like, that's powerful. So more with this king when we get back. Relationships matter.
Relationships matter.
Welcome back to Relationships Matter. So during the last segment, you spoke about abstinence. And it brought to mind that whole thing of when you asked me, Chanel, do you desire abstinent. And I said abstinence. And I said no. And the comments went crazy.
But actually, they appreciate you. They respected it though.
But some of them
90%
yeah.
was on your side.
But then there was a lot of judgment. Like, a person who loves God don't even talk like that. And I wanted to talk about that whole idea of, because as a single person, I mean, I don't desire it, but you didn't ask me if I practice it. It's a difference.
Yes.
Yeah, I know I don't desire it, but I do practice it because I understand.
You said you practicing it by default.
Yeah, like, I mean, I can call somebody if I really
course.
wanted to call, but I understand the consequences that it yield when you do that,
Right.
which is why I choose not to do it. So I want to talk to you about it. I'm reversing.
Ask me.
Do you desire abstinence?
What's the consequences?
The hurt, the pain,
caught
and
up.
all the crazy that come along with that, desiring something that you can't have, or the dysfunction tied to it, the toxicity of, wanting and desiring somebody who don't want and desire you in the same way. Like, they cool with having sex with you, but they don't want anything long term. And I want to be in a relationship. Like, I don't want to play.
Okay. I'm gonna leave it.
You got any more questions?
I just wanted to know. I'm gonna go ahead.
I don't want y'all to be reading about me or social media.
So you saying you desire it, but you just saying that because you don't have a committed relationship, that's
Yeah,
why.
I'm afraid. Just because of past experiences.
Okay.
To put myself out there like that.
But
You know
if you're
what
in
I'm
a
saying?
committed relationship, then you wouldn't be abstinent.
You see, you trying to see, you
No,
trying to
that's
get me
what you're
in
saying.
trouble. You know what?
That's what you said.
The Bible
I didn't
says,
say the Bible, I said the book of Chanel.
Chanelicus, chapter 1.
you know what? I don't even play with that, Latarius. I honestly do not know.
Right.
And that is
And
my
that's okay.
response to
But
that
that's
question.
okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes Christians, we just give the response
Yeah.
that we're supposed to give. And I never give the response that we supposed to, quote unquote. I'm going to tell you
Right.
the truth about
And that's why I said no when you asked me.
it. Right.
Like, I've even been coached on this question outside. Like, how should I have responded to
Truth.
that question?
Truth. I always respond.
Yeah,
to
and I said it the way that I said it on purpose because I don't want to pretend like it's something that is not. I don't want to pretend like I enjoy this. I don't. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to pretend like I don't think about it. That would be a lie.
Do you think you can give yourself to somebody?
I absolutely do.
You do?
Yes.
That's not scary for you?
That's scary, but
think?
I think I can do it. I think I could do it if his intentions were pure and
You got to know that's the last one.
I gotta know, not even the last one. I would hope that it would be the last one, but I gotta know that he has chosen me. That's like a big deal for me.
to be chosen.
To be chosen. And that is because I have found myself in numerous situations, whatever you want to call it.
Where you weren't chosen.
Where I was not chosen.
Yep, I understand.
And so it has become a insecurity
Yep.
of mine.
And that's fair.
So
That's fair.
That's why I think I'm as guarded as I am. I don't think if my experiences wasn't as traumatic, then it would probably not be an issue for me.
I have a question just from a male perspective. Like, what has, the abstinence journey look like? Like, how has that felt at times when you have,
So I would say, because like I said, I've been off and on. In
Right,
these
right,
4
that's why I
years.
was-
And so I'll be on for about 7 months. I feel like, wow, this is great. This is amazing. I feel disciplined. And then physically, I feel like my body was just wasn't the best. I'll tell you that. Meaning, because I'm telling you, ask me questions. You're gonna ask. I'll tell details.
Tell the deep.
All right. So the details is this: in my season of practicing abstinence, I wouldn't even get erect a lot. And so I started thinking something was wrong with me. I said, oh my God, at this big age, I don't think this is healthy for me. And so I allowed my ego to get me back engaged in that, to be like, I got to see if it still worked. And that's the facts. Y'all gonna ask me questions and y'all want to know the answer.
No.
I want it, but it's a real
Y'all
thing.
gonna
The
ask me
reason why I
questions,
say
y'all
it's a
gonna get
real
these
thing
answers.
is
Y'all gonna get these
because you got to think, right? Even
Yeah.
at our age,
Yes.
I ain't too far, but it's
Yeah.
like women, because they say statistically or whatever that the women have a higher drive now
this age.
versus the man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
Yep.
then it's like
They do.
I've had
they
these
do.
conversations, and then women will dog a man but then it's like I've been disciplined. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Now I'm being villainized for it, or you talking to me crazy and all of that. God dang, work with me, shawty. Like it's something going on. Not me per se. I'm just saying. You feel me? Because I'm still working on me daily. For my Christian folk who gonna watch this, and don't make me none. You dig what I'm saying? But you know, it's a real thing. I'm scratching my head right now.
Well, it's true, Josh. It is true. It's a real thing because the fact is, I'll talk to women who have said to me, like, even in the season when I'm practicing abstinence, they be like, "Oh, there ain't no way I'm gonna be with you unless we test it out." She said, "Because I will not be married to somebody that struggles with erectile
That's
dysfunction."
my concern with
See?
that.
The church said amen.
As
right
much as I would like to think, okay, and I already know me. I
Yeah.
know me. That I would want to wait. I already know. It's easy to say when you're a single person.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? It's easy to do. I'm not tempted. But if I was in a relationship with someone, it would be a struggle. I'm not even going to
course.
lie.
As it should be.
As it should be. And I want to know what I'm working with.
Yep.
That is a deal breaker. For as many years as I have waited, it is no way.
But I think too, out of fairness for some of us, because it's like it's a lot of pressure on the men.
Yeah.
But you know that should go both ways, because some women think that treasure box is treasuring, and and that thing really ain't. That thing really, you think it's some gold in there, it's really copper. Like you ain't, that thing really ain't doing what it's supposed to do. I'm just saying, like, but you know, let me shut up. I'm gonna get on out of here.
What are they treasuring?
Cause man,
What is that? What that mean?
it just ain't hitting the way, because a lot of people say that. A lot of women really think they got some fire, and it really ain't fire the way that they say. That thing really mediocre. You feel me? When I go to the pump, it's 87. It ain't 93.
Super 11.
Hey, man. Hey, I'm gonna get out of here, man. Hey, I feel you though, bro. I'm staying away, man. Oh boy, y'all. Oh,
Y'all crazy.
That's what I'm saying. So y'all women.
Well, look, you gonna have
Y'all
to
gonna
educate us
leave
so
us
we
alone.
know. So we
He
know.
said, leave us alone.
But the frustration goes across the board. I'm just trying to be fair, because grace has to be extended
on both
ways.
sides. Yeah.
Because listen, man, it's a lot of men that feel this big because it's like, your size ain't up to par. Even if you get hard, you ain't lasting long enough. Then if you like it's always something.
I agree.
And to be honest, right, some good box, some good trim for all, because look, we talking to all genres here. some good wounds. You really gonna be in that thing maybe no more than 10 minutes. If she really got some fire, ain't no way. Ain't no way.
This boy crazy.
Ain't no way. Am I lying, bro?
No, he spoke truth.
Am I lying?
He spoke the
Now
biblical truth.
here's the thing. It's the comeback.
Yep.
Oh, you got me on that first one, but the next one. He knew Yeah, you caught me slipping on that first one, big dog. But listen, I'm coming. I got to get at you. Oh man, got to get at you. You ain't finna be in the group chat talking about girl. Cause you know they gonna do it.
Okay, now
And
with
so,
you.
so that's what I was saying. So that's how my abstinence journey came to an end the first time. You know, and then I was just like, man, because you hear all this stuff. You know, I don't know what the changes my body gonna go through. We always hear about women going through menopause, but I think men, we go through some things too.
Yeah.
So lower testosterone levels and all that. So that's what I like normalizing is these type of discussions. So it's not like, because I didn't break my abstinence journey because I just got horny and I just wanted to have sex with somebody. I literally was like, I need to see if it still works.
Use it
I did,
or lose it. And that's
what
a
I
real,
felt.
for the men, that's
Yep.
a real thing.
100%.
Like seriously.
100%.
God.
And I think that it's important, to your point, to have the conversation, because we do get a lot of unfair judgment and everything else. But it's like I'm danged if I do, danged if I don't. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? And these are the things that do come to mind, like, because it's like, yo, when I do bump into a woman, I want to make sure I show up and show out. You feel me?
Facts.
Well, listen, this conversation is perfect for this next question
There we go.
that is pulled from our Relationships Matter card game edition. And the question for you, Lateris, is what turns you on or off in a sexual context?
You better talk that talk.
Well, no, I'm going to give you something that you ain't expecting, Josh.
Okay.
I'm a sapiosexual, so I'm attracted to intellect. It's not even anything physically. It's not anything that a woman, she has to touch me a certain way. She has to do this. It's literally been engaged with the woman on a cerebral level that turns me on like crazy.
So can I jump in to your point? Because I'm similar. Like, if you get my mind,
Yeah.
and too, when we really talking about sex, those people who are mature and use sex properly, the mental and emotional is what's all of everything. The physical is just the icing on the cake.
Facts.
Because that's the part, like the anticipation. Like, I remember, especially like growing up, anticipating that you about to get into something, or with the girl that you've been eyeing or whatever. Like, man, that'll drive you crazy. You be
Yep.
rocked up all day thinking about that thing. You feel me? Am I lying,
You
bro?
ain't lying at all, boy.
But that's a big part of, no matter if you're 20, 30,
Yeah.
40, like, why do men get such a knock from a social media standpoint? They like, you looking at it, you double tapping all that, but like, you be in that space because you having a moment, you thinking, and it's not just the sexual, it's like everything
The
as a whole.
experience
You
of that
start,
person.
you really start putting yourself mentally in that space. And for me, to your point, that mental is a big piece of it, man. If you are a surface level person and all of these other things, but it ain't but so much I can do.
Yeah.
I can clap some cheeks all day, every day. But I'm just saying, hey, listen, man.
Josh!
My bad, bro.
He told the truth. It is what
But
it
I'm
is.
just saying, the level of,
The clapping.
there you go. I wasn't gonna say it. I knew it. He came and caught it. But it's gonna be different. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a great experience, but it's gonna be different. Because that does matter. I feel like for anybody that's really about what they're about, like, because you can obviously just get one off with anybody and do
Right.
whatever. But when people start going crazy, it's because there's a different type of connection there. And that does mean something, at least for me.
And that's the point of me on this journey for abstinence this go around, where I said, this go around, I'm doing it until I get married. Because at the end of the day, I know what God told me in my 20s. God told me in my 20s, before I got married the first time, you'll never be faithful to your wife unless you first become faithful to me. And I thought I knew better than God. I was like, well, that sounds good. That's cute. And I kept doing what I was doing all the way up until marriage. And then the minute, because I trained my body that when I had a need to go feel it externally. And so I trained my body thinking that just because I said I do, my body said I do too. No, my mouth said I do. My body is not regulated by my mouth. That I have to put that thing under subjection. And so what happened is that then infidelity came into my marriage because I chose to step outside of it. So this go around, I reverse engineering everything. I said, now God told me this when I was in my early 20s. It ended like this. This go around, I'm a put my flesh under subjection. I'm going to look at God as my spouse. We hear women say that all the time. I'm like, I'm married to him. I'm in covenant with him. And then when he gives me away, because remember, I didn't believe I had value at first. Now I have value in my body. Now when he gives me away to this woman and he gives this woman to me, now I could challenge what he told me in my 20s and discipline my body and be in covenant with this woman till death do we part, period. I've had enough sex in my life. It's I mean, at this point, it's just doing it for sport because at the end of the day, I want a wife.
I have a question, and then you can close it, Josh. So in that, so you're going to get married quick, though.
Facts. Facts. I'm talking about from the day I set eyes on it, and then however that multiple dating experience goes, and then we zero in on each other and say we are each other's person. From that point on, 6 months. I mean, 6 months. We're probably getting married at that point. She'll have a ring on her finger in
glad you
about
said
60
that.
days. Yeah, 6 months. We married. I'm grown, so I ain't got to. What we waiting for? Because at the end of the day, now I'm just putting myself under temptation longer and longer and longer and longer. And at the end of the day, you want me, I want you. God's blessing over it. I believe in pre-engagement counseling. So I believe in going to counseling before I even get the ring so that we can unearth whatever hidden secrets or problems or idiosyncrasies or insecurities or whatever. Let's unearth all that right now. And then we pass that. All right, cool. Now I'll go make the investment. Because what women don't know is that you can't get your money back from an engagement ring. You know, you go get a ring, and if she says no to you, that day that ring has lost and it has become depreciated. You can't go back and say, "Can I get my money back?" And they're like, "No, sir, that's you bought that." And then they'll say, "Yeah, we'll buy it back. We'll give you 60% of what you just paid for it yesterday." You're like, "Oh my God!" So that's the risk that men take.
Right.
We'll go through pre-engagement counseling. I'll propose to her, and then we'll go through premarital counseling, and then we'll keep counseling as the bedrock of our relationship.
Clap them cheeks real good. You want to keep playing. You know, run that thing through the mud.
Beat the brakes off her.
Josh!
That's what she wants.
Dre, you ain't get that. I know you ain't get that. Oh, man. No, man. Don't, leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Relationships matter after dark.
That's what we need to do.
You are.
So, all right. So, what about the clip from your show where people just really just drug me because I said I didn't want, and you even
I did.
was like, what if he 57?
Exactly.
And we just talked about the whole idea of not having an erection.
Because we didn't know that how the importance of that with you. You know, you may be one can assume that because you're so disciplined from a sexual standpoint that, and you desire to be chosen so much that if you're chosen by somebody if you're chosen by somebody that will honor you, respect you, cover you, give you everything that you desire and you've been waiting your life to get, that you wouldn't make age a requirement. Because at 57 years old, see your face is starting to droop again when I say that. At 57, what is your fear of 57?
Because he'll be 60 in 3 years.
And what does that mean to you?
We ain't got but a few more good years
To do what?
to do everything.
He just dies at 60.
No, I mean, the sexual performance, I may not necessarily be attracted to him. He may not like to do the things that I like to do. I even talked about the whole idea of his fashion sense. These things are important to me.
But everything
like, I
you
don't
said-
want to feel like I'm settling just for the sake of, somebody else asked me this question, Chanel, would you prefer 20 years of average, my cousin, we had this conversation the other day. Would you prefer 20 years of average love, somebody who loved you average, or would you prefer 10 strong years of someone just loving you out of this world? And I said 20 years of average. Because we was having a conversation about age.
That's nasty work.
Yeah.
That's nasty work.
Because I'm saying, because in 10 years, I'm going to be
That
right
is
back in the same
nasty work.
situation.
Josh, why you say that?
Because we should be living a life only to get the best of what is desired and what we deserve. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody is deserving.
But you
of-
gotta think that I don't know what that looks like.
But you can
I feel
articulate
you.
that you want
Right.
average over exceptional.
Because you know why? Because we talked about this whole idea of being abstinent for 8 years, and now this whole idea of being abstinent for 4 years, right? And I'm 50.
So you want to turn it loose on somebody is basically what you're saying.
Like, I don't want to be a hospice bae. Like Tony say on her show, I ain't trying to be no hospice bae.
But when
But
does
you-
57 years old
yeah.
become a hospice
But
babe?
because men, they run the streets, give their bodies to these women, and then when they start getting old and start settling down, they want somebody to take care of them. I need somebody with their youth. I still have my youth. God has blessed me, thank you, Jesus, to still have youthfulness. I know I don't look my age.
But I've
But
told you about this too, because that's a protective mechanism. You bring in all these what ifs.
Exactly.
Like there
What
is
if it's
a
fashion
there is a
sense? What if
y'all
gen-
y'all asking
all the OGs I know, they all clean. Look at my boy. Look how he stepped off the plane.
He is 46.
Them laces, it don't matter.
He's 46.
They
though.
think you get old when you turn 40. Rob got that gray beard and all, the silver fox. That man be clean.
50 is a very pivotal age because 10 years forward, you going into being a senior citizen. 10 years backward, well, you still.
But aren't you doing the same thing to men as men do to women?
Yes.
That's fine.
That's
but
great
there
power.
gonna be some young men who don't want to date
Exactly.
me because, and that's okay.
Or
they
men
have their preference.
or men your age that don't want to date you because of that. And I just feel like that's just unfair.
I want to make this clear because I didn't get to say this on your show. I don't attract men my age.
Okay, well say that then.
I attract men that are younger than I.
Okay.
Period.
And what
most times by 10 years.
And what are they attracted to?
Mostly it's just my physicality because they haven't had a conversation with me.
All right, so and then what happens? Or so you entertain that? So that's
I have once or twice.
and then what was the result of that?
Most times they're promiscuous.
Okay,
Like I've met someone who we had great conversation. He was intelligent, but
he wanted to sleep with you,
he want to sleep with multiple women, and
you
that's just
wasn't
not
okay
my
with that.
thing.
So if he just wanted to sleep with you, you'd have let him clap.
Josh, you about to get smacked on your show. No, sir.
Oh, really? If he chose you, he could have,
chose
right?
you?
If he chose you, you would have, right?
If he chose me,
Because you said he doesn't have to marry you to do that. So if he just chose you and y'all got in an exclusive, what does choosing you look like?
yeah, I mean, if we were in an exclusive relationship, yes.
Okay.
For sure.
So your goal, regardless, is to meet and marry a younger guy, and
That is-
younger by 40, right?
That's a little pushing it, but somewhere
Pushing
in
it what?
there.
That's old.
40, that's a little young.
Oh,
Because of
okay.
conversation. But like, somewhere in there.
Like about 45ish.
Yeah, something in there.
Okay.
I'm confused.
What you confused about? Go ahead and speak. What is so confusing?
I mean, just,
I desire, this is the thing. I come from a family that absolutely adores me. I say this all the time. My mother and father, they love me, but I've never experienced being loved outside of that dynamic.
And that's why I said it's interesting that you believe that, but then age is restricting you.
Yeah, I have a preference just like you have a
Yeah,
preference.
but
right?
my preference
Would
are-
you date, you 46, would you date somebody that was 55?
Depend. It really
57?
depends. That's
man,
pushing
was
it.
not your boy.
But that's pushing it about 57. But
About
I would date
57 is
somebody in
pushing
their 50s. I put it like this. We have to look at it like this. I would date an older woman when you wouldn't date an older man.
No, I told you there are some real ones out there.
But you said you wouldn't
But
do it.
I
You
would-
said,
no,
you
now-
said you're 50. You wouldn't date nobody 51. You said the highest you would go
51,
51.
I could do. That's what I said. I said I could do
So
51.
you'll only go up 1 year as a woman, and I will go up 5,
Yeah,
6
I don't want to
years
go up
as
5
a man.
years. I don't want to go up 5 years.
I know it.
I don't want to go up 5 years.
Because of everything that you think. Because you said he ain't gonna want to do the things you want to do.
No.
You may date somebody that runs marathons. You know what I'm saying?
But listen, I'm open to it. So if I meet someone who I'm attracted to and he just happened to be 55 and all the other check boxes, then it's cool. But you asked me my preference.
I said, what is your dating age range?
My
And so-
age range, now my age range, you just asking me off the cuff.
And that's what you said, 40
is from 40-ish.
to 51.
To 51,
That's what you said
absolutely.
that day.
But there are some rare men out there that are a little older that if I'm not attracted to you, then we're not even going to get to the point where we're having that conversation where I'll even know.
Whether they were 41 or 39, that would be the same thing.
Absolutely.
But what I'm simply saying is that from a healthy perspective, when we articulate those desires,
Mm-hmm.
the reason why people were being negative towards your preference is because everything you said about somebody 57 was negative.
That's just like somebody saying I prefer light skin over dark skin. It's your preference.
But it'd be different if they said, I prefer light skin over dark skin because light skinned women, they got attitudes, they think they all that, they stuck up.
That's a
they
lie,
this.
though.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what you said about 57. You done made every 57-year-old man
this
dress
my thing.
bad. He ain't gonna like doing
No,
nothing. He
so there's a background to this. So we talked about me being celibate, abstinent, whichever abstinent for the first 8 years. I didn't even get to live my life, like literally there was like a pause button that got pushed. So I'm like 8 years behind anyway. And I said, some men may think that I'm immature because there are a lot of things that I do differently than people my age, and it is what it is, and that's partially because I lost those 8 years.
Like what?
were
Give me one
lost.
example so we can put reference
And
around
do you
this.
think some wood would change that?
No, we ain't said this ain't even about sex. This-
But you said when I practiced you said that. You said when I practiced that,
what?
it's like I'm missing out on something, so therefore I didn't mature. Like
No,
you
life
just said
is, no, I
that.
said general, not just
Okay,
sex. We're not
okay.
talking about sex. We're talking about life, period.
Okay.
Like, I didn't do anything. Like, literally, I was like stuck. And this goes back to the story that I shared. Just
Right.
stuck trying to sort through all of that stuff that was happening at that particular time.
When you say age, so when you said you left, you do things that may be a little immature for your age, such as?
No, when I say some men, older men may think, like, I think about this. Because I didn't tell this on your show. So as I was transitioning out of that whole 8-year thing, I did date a gentleman who was 19 years older than me.
19.
He was
older, okay.
physically fit. I mean, he looked older, but he didn't look his age.
Okay.
And there are certain things at that particular time, because I was trying to get back on my feet, that I wanted to do. And you know, when you have that 20-year gap, they have lived and done some things. They have had experiences that I have not had.
What were you wanting to do?
Like, just something, so just for the sake of this conversation, I wanted to buy a new car,
Okay.
not a used car, a new car. And it was like, you know, the moment it rolls off the lot, it loses its value. So I will never buy a new car, you know, and those things was just not important to him.
Right.
Well, from my standpoint, someone who lost her stuff, I was like, no, that's what I want. And I understand what you're saying, like you do. When you buy a new car, the value does depreciate the moment you roll it off the lot, but I don't care.
100%.
This is what I want.
Yep.
And there were other scenarios where you've had those life experiences because you have 20 years on me. I have not. And while what you're saying makes a lot of sense, I still want to live my life.
And that's where I believe grace comes into the relationship, because from a preference standpoint, every decision someone makes doesn't have to be in agreement with the other person. Because if I've never had a brand new car, give me the grace to go get me a brand new car. You ain't buying it. Let me get my
Right.
brand new car and don't think I'm making an unwise decision. And so that's, again, that emotional intelligence for him to be like, I understand what you
And
mean.
then he was the
I
same age
understand
as
that.
my mama.
Okay. But you were attracted to him, right?
Yeah, I mean, he did not look his age, but he was the same age as my mom.
And
Did
would you
y'all
have
do
married
it?
him?
No,
What'd you say?
Did y'all do it?
Y'all didn't? Y'all didn't?
no.
And y'all dated for how long?
It was just a couple months.
Okay, a couple
This was like my first person out of that whole
Yeah.
thing that we talked about.
So that was the first person you dated, and it was a couple months, and so
Yeah.
you still didn't have experience. When you say about the abstinence situation, and Josh pointed out, how does that go hand in hand with this 57-year-old person that we'll never entertain?
Definitely not entertaining it.
Because how's that tied to abstinence?
What do you mean?
Because you believe he can't perform at 57, or you
No,
only
that
have
had
a short
nothing to do
window?
with it. No, that wasn't that. I didn't say that because of sex. I'm just saying, I feel like, I mean, I'm battling it. At 50 plus, your body starts to change. Like, I don't know if I even be attracted to him. Like, I'm changing. I don't know, you know, I'm sure other people can see you change.
So you're
you know,
talking
your
about physical attraction.
everything
So you're
changes.
saying you're just physically not attracted to
Yeah.
older men typically?
Typically,
Okay.
yes. But I do know that I have seen some that
Right.
are rare, that are older than I, that are attractive. But I'm talking about on average, probably not.
But that's why for me, like when we talking about real love, real relationships, to just bring this all in, this is my perspective. Looking outside of physical and certain things is really important because it could all be gone for all of us the next day.
Yep.
And the person, you don't want to feel like you was just with me because I look good, or you was just with me because of finances, or you was just with me because of these things. No, you was with me because you saw it here.
Absolutely.
But a lot of what you said,
Has nothing
I
to do with
don't
that.
think matches
Yeah, because-
that, because I'm not hearing that in what you're saying.
Okay, so people say that, but before we can even get to the content of a person's character,
You gotta be
they
attracted
got to
to
be
that.
attractive. And whether it's intellectually, whether it's physical, this is all generalization. Like, this is not reality. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because those other boxes got to be checked. Like, you got to have good character. You have to have integrity.
But you're saying that, you know, we use this elusive word called attraction, but what are you saying, that the physical makeup of the person from head to toe has to be attractive for you to be drawn
that's-
to even entertain.
And that's different for everybody.
Yeah, I'm just talking about for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
so they have to,
and then-
whatever that is.
Right, whatever that, unless we're in a situation where I talk about this in terms of purpose, where we're working on something, a project that we have in common, and we have to talk by default.
And then you started gravitating towards
And then I
him.
started gravitating towards him because I'm able to experience a part of him without the strings or without all the other things that come along with meeting someone.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like, people act like that ain't a real thing.
Oh, it's a real thing.
That's a
It's
very real thing. And I just keep it 100. Like,
no, that's
come on.
100% real. And that's why I say that, yes, there should be some attraction, but attraction for different people is something different.
It's different. It could be intellectual, it could be physical, it could be whatever it is that that gets my attention in that moment. And I've experienced both.
But the
You
thing
experience
is that the ship will crash and burn if they are outside of the window of everything else. See, he can come packaged the way that you want from what I heard these past couple of minutes. But if he 56, God bless him.
No, if he 56 and he come packaged like I want, like, let me just ask you, dude, would you date an older woman?
How old are you, Josh?
I'm 41.
What's your
what's
dating
that?
range?
Yeah.
5 years,
Okay,
3
so,
to 5.
huh?
3 to 5. But
3
I
to
done
5,
been with some OGs in my time now.
So then what
They don't make
changed?
me none.
He
Then
says
what
OG.
changed?
What's the oldest from the
oldest?
gap from you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gap, almost 20 years.
Oh, okay.
But what changed though?
What do you mean what changed? Just the time I was in at that time. That's the only thing.
So like I said, I dated the
20.
gentleman who was 19, 20 years older. Well, as I get older, it changes. The gap changes.
But we talking two totally different things. I'm talking about me living a different life. If I date somebody and I'm feeling you, you feel me? Like that's what we gonna be at. But the other part to me too is like in dating, when I'm intentional, I haven't attracted anything outside of what I've wanted either. Like that has never been an issue for me.
I
know
don't
what I'm
attract,
saying?
and I
Like-
don't attract men over 50. I really don't. When I look back, I have not. I haven't had a slew of men who were over 50 who was knocking at my door. Most of the men are honestly not even in their 40s. They in their 30s.
Dang.
That's just the truth.
So do you feel like they're looking for a sugar mama at 30?
A lot of them don't know my age when they see me. They don't know that
So
I'm
how
50.
old they think you are?
I mean, that's not a conversation that comes up. Typically, when I realize that they are younger, I ask them, how old do you think I am?
That's what I'm saying. What they say?
Yeah. They'll say 30, 35, 38, somewhere in there.
And okay. And so when you look at the situation of you dating, you don't even date though. That's the whole point. So how do you expect to meet this person if you don't even date at all?
I'm scared to date. I'm scared.
So how you gonna
I've
meet
had
this
some crazy
amazing
things. 'Cause we gonna, you know what? I'm heavy into purpose. I'm married to it. I'm out there doing that. I'm not out there in them streets doing whatever. So I just believe God providentially at the right time, at the right place, He gonna connect me with the right person.
without you doing nothing on your
No,
own?
I'm gonna be present in the moment, but I don't believe in doing something, stepping outside of myself. Like I'm not gonna do something that's not comfortable for me
I know, what does
just
that
to
look
meet
like?
someone.
You saying, what does that look like?
Like going to the bar, going to some restaurant to the bar to see if I can meet a man.
That's how
not
God
my
gonna
thing.
try you too. Your God gonna try you like that because He hear you. He like, you know what? She don't want to budge. Watch this. And you gonna sit there and be like, I ain't doing it. And
No, I'm just
God
saying
gonna
that
be like, I told you so.
No.
You gonna get your shoulder gonna go limp like this. You gonna be like.
No, I said I'm not doing it.
But I'm sharing with you that sometimes when we talk about let's remove relationship, sometimes when it comes to
Teach.
purpose or anything else, man, you're pushed into situations to see if that's really what you want. There's I forgot the movie, but what's the actor's name? He was like, when God said you want to be strong, He doesn't just send you strength. He puts you in a situation
where you have to be
and it's
strong.
literally like what could be happening for you, but you like the Matrix with it and you ducking and dodging. You like, no, I'm cool because I'm gonna stay here. But them blessings just gonna keep passing because Chanel gonna stay where she's comfortable at. And that's okay. I'm not judging you. I'm not trying to
I think
wrong
you're misunderstanding what I'm saying.
I'm
No, he
clear.
misunderstanding.
I'm
I'm
very
saying
clear.
that I'm not going to step outside of myself and go to a bar to meet a man. But if
Yeah.
I just happen to be
I know
at a
everything.
bar and someone approaches me and I'm interested in having a conversation, then I'm absolutely
But
going
it
to
don't
have that
have to be the bar,
conversation.
Chanel. It don't have to be the bar. I understand. I understand what you're saying.
I'm
You know
saying
what
basically what I'm hearing is the old school thought that women were trained in the early church of thinking that God is just going to magically bring your husband to you, and they'll look at it from the story of Boaz and Ruth. Boaz saw Ruth in the field and he saw her and did this. But what we don't talk about is what Ruth ended up doing after that. He saw her in the field, but Ruth, and I ain't telling you to do this, but we're
I
going
ain't
to take the
laying at
whole
nobody's
story.
feet.
Exactly. But she went and snuck herself into this thing, meaning she did something to place
But she was
herself.
also serving and working. She was working in purpose.
But when she crawled into his bed, that wasn't the purpose. So that's what I'm saying. She went
and laid at his
feet and said, basically, whatever you want, here I am, Lord.
Man, where's she at?
but still serving though.
But the reality was,
Still
I'm
in the
talking about,
posture of serving.
I want to focus on did something. She put herself in position. A lot of times what
I
women
am
do
in
from the church,
position.
they'll say, no, your position is, I'm going to sit here, he got to come to me, instead of putting yourself
I
in position
engage people, but
if they engage with you.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's someone, first, let's be clear. If I'm out and it's someone who I'm attracted to, or I think, well, whatever, however he piques my interest, I absolutely have no issue saying something.
So why you say you're not dating then?
Because I haven't met anyone or come across anyone that I'm interested in talking to.
I know, but you said, I don't date. I won't
I
date.
don't. It's not I won't, I don't. I haven't.
How you haven't dated? When's the last time you dated somebody?
It's been a while.
Like 5 years, 10 years, 3 years?
Probably about 6 years ago.
So let me ask you this. If you met a guy today, you had a little
I went on a
restaurant.
date about a year or two ago. That's the guy I was talking about,
You
but
said
that
a
was
year or
like
two
short.
ago.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you this: have you been asked on dates and just rejected in these last 3 years?
No, the last time that I was asked on a date, I went. And that was
Okay.
the gentleman that I talked to you about.
So you will go on a date with somebody if they
I went
ask
on a
you.
date. He asked. Yeah, absolutely.
So if you met somebody today and they say, "Hey, listen, you seem nice. I'd like to take you out," you'll be okay with that?
Yeah, if it's something I want to do.
Yes. Okay. Good.
Absolutely.
We got somewhere. I thought that you was like, I'm not interested in dating.
No.
I don't want to be a part of this mix. If a guy, all this multiple dating stuff, he got to come to you and say, I ain't dating nobody. It's just you. I saw you and you're the one I'm only interested in getting to know.
I have a remedy for that. That whole multiple dating, because I realized that I can't change how somebody else approach dating. You just can't monopolize my time.
That's what I said.
You just we ain't seeing each other 2 and 3 times in a week. That's not going to happen, because wherever you spend your time, that's where your emotions will grow.
Remember what I
so
said?
I don't even play with
but
that.
Remember when I brought that up earlier and you said, well, I ain't got time and energy to be sitting up here saying, well, because if I like you, I'm going to want to spend all this time with you.
But I'm not. If you are into the whole idea of multiple dating, then you catch up with me this week.
That's what
you
I
might
said.
not see me for the next week or so.
If you play the tape back, you're going to see I said that to you and you rebutted it. You was like, I don't have time to be wanting to do all that, because if I like you, I'm going to want to do all this. I'm going to want to do that.
That is
and
right.
you said, I don't want to play that game.
I agree with you.
But you looked at it as a game.
No, it is a game, but I agree with you. However, I understand the times that I'm living in. So if I must play that game, I'm saying that you're not going to monopolize my time. So I'll go out with you, but we're not spending 2 and 3 and 4 days in the week together.
And
that's
that's
not
fair.
going to happen.
That's
You're
why I
not
said
going to
it's
go
fair.
and suck up all my energy. No, and then you're not on nothing that's serious. So that's what I'm saying.
Well, that's fair.
But
'Cause that's what I was saying
what's
earlier.
also fair is that people also can feel that energy too, and they'll also treat it as such. So you're not wrong, but then the other person isn't wrong either, because if somebody's not feeling the effort, and it's not competitional by any means.
Facts.
I'm saying this respectfully. It's not competitional, but there has to be I'm not concerned about nobody else.
That
This
part.
is my focus, and that's it. Like that, when we look at some of the women who, have jumped into this place, it's because they literally have tunnel vision, and it's like, I ain't really tripping on whatever else is going
Yes.
on, because they're gonna end up getting what it is that they want, and on top of that, they'll end up getting the type of man that they want, and vice versa, just because she was in her true self.
Does that make sense? Because I had this conversation with somebody a couple of months ago, and she did not understand that part, saying that I can't be so concerned. And I told this woman this. I said, listen, if you with me, don't worry about nobody. I ain't worrying about who you dealing with or who you not dealing with. I don't care. I don't care what you did the day before me. When I'm meeting you, I'm enjoying my time with you. I don't care after you leave me, you go see somebody else. After we leave dinner, if you went to go lay up with some other dude, that doesn't bother me. I'm not concerned about that. The only thing I care about is if you and I are going to be together in the future. And we're engaging in those conversations, because hopefully if everything goes along with what's supposed to happen, you're not going to go be seeing nobody after we go to dinner anyway. Later on, week 2, week 3, week 5. I just don't care. As a healthy person dating, I understand that you have the autonomy of your own hours of your day. If you're allowing me to share 3 hours with you this day, next week, an hour, we're on the phone, this whatever, that's cool with me. Because when you choose me and I choose you back, we are choosing each other not out of a scarcity mindset, but because we had other options, but we were the best options for each other. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to Relationship Matters. This is not... Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button right now.
And don't shack up. What you saying?
And don't be shacking up with us. Don't be watching this content and not subscribing. Make sure you subscribe and do something. Share this video and leave a comment.
Relationships matter. I need you.